Hello guys and welcome back. So in the last video we created this Hive box here. The Hive folder for all our Hive boxes here. Okay, so in this video now, if you run the application now, it will give us an error for these boxes. Okay, because we have okay, anyway, we are not calling them anywhere, but we need to initialize this. Okay, so let's go in the main screen, main.dat. We need to initialize them up here before we go anywhere. Okay, but before that, let's also create a new folder here. This is going to be providers. Okay, this is where we're going to put all our providers. So let's create the first provider here, a new file. So this is going to be our chat provider. .dat. So class chat provider. So this is coming from our provider package, extend change notifier, like that. So here, okay, already Copilot thinks that we need all of those. Here, the first thing that we are going to do is to call our init Hive. Okay, so let's put a comment init Hive box. Okay, let's see what is going to create. Okay, so here let's create a static method which is going to be our init Hive. We are going to initialize Hive here. Okay, like that. So it has commented all this, but we don't want this to be commented. So first of all, we're going to get the directory. Okay, so let's move this down here. What we're going to do is to use our path provider package. Okay, so let's say final directory, in short, like that. We want to say await get application directory, and then we need to use the path provider package, which we're going to say path dot get directory. Okay, so here we need to import our path provider package like that. Okay, path provider as path. Okay, and then we get the directory like that. Then after we get that, now we are going to say hive dot init hive.init, and then we're going to get the directory.path. All right, and next we need to open up our Hive Flutter. Okay, so here there's something that was here. If we go to, where is that, Hive Flutter, you can say that hive.init Flutter. Okay, we need to open up this. Okay, which is here. It says await Hive init Flutter, and then you can open the setting box if in here. Okay, so let's go back to the application, and then here we need to open that. So let's say await, and then Hive, we don't want to open that. So here we want to say hive dot init Flutter. Okay, now here we need to, let's make the reference of our box. Okay, where we're going to be saving our Hive. Okay, so let's go back to the constants class, and then let's have another static const. So this one, let's call it as what are we going to name it? Gemini DB. Okay, then let's say Gemini.db. Okay, that's why we're going to save. Okay, now we can close this, and then here we're going just to call our constants dot Gemini DB. All right, so once we have that, now we can register our adapters. Okay, register adapters. So this we can remove, And then now first we are going to check, okay, if Hive dot is adapter registered. So first we are going to check the one at 0, okay, the type ID 0. So let's check if it is not registered like that, okay, we register it, okay. So Hive dot register. So the one at 0 is which one? We just need to go here. So this is the one which is 0, the chat history, and okay, the adapters, okay. The 0 is the chat history adapter, okay. So we're just going to register the adapter, which is a chat history adapter, okay. So chat history adapter, like that, okay. So we're going to do the same after we register this adapter, and then we're going to open the chat history box, okay. Open the chat history box. Now here we're just gonna say await hive.open box. We're going to open this box of chat history, okay. So this is the chat history, and then we will do the same also for the next one, okay. So if Hive dot, okay, not like that, it should be just the way we are doing here, is adapter registered. So this is going to be 1, and then if it is not registered, we're going to open the box of or first we have to register Hive dot register adapter. So 1, we know that it's is it user model adapter, so we register that. Then right after we do that, we open the box of user model, which is a user model box, okay. And then we move on to the next one. So if Hive, yeah, now it's cached up to what we are doing. So let's just import that. So we also open the settings, okay. We can go ahead and remove that. So this init Hive, we are just opening up, registering the adapters and opening the boxes, okay. We need to call this on the start of the screen, okay. So now what we just need to do is to go in the main.dat, then here let's put a synchronous keyword, and then down here we just need to say to ensure that it has initialized, okay. So we are going to say widget flutter blinding dot ensure initialize, and then here we're going to say await chat provider dot init Hive, okay. We need to call this in the start of the screen. So right now we can now, okay, we can't run the application because we also need to register the provider class, okay. So here on the run up, let's bring it down here. Here we need to say multi-provider and then we are going to bring the providers down here. So let's click tab, and then we need to remove this because it has created it here. So let's remove that and then close it down here. So we are missing a bracket, and then we just need to import are we doing it right here? So we need to import the provider. So let's import import the provider. Yeah. Now we are calling our chat provider here. So let's go ahead and stop the application and run it again. The application has started. Everything else is still the same because we haven't changed anything in the UI. All we are working is in the background with the code. So now we are okay. Let's close that, and then let's what's this? We can leave this, and then let's now work in the chat provider so that we can start working in the chat screen here. Okay, so here in the chat provider, let's start from above here. So first we are going to need the list of messages. Okay, but for that we also need to create a message model. Okay, so because here we only created for the history, the user, and the settings. So for the messages, it's not going to be inside the Hive, it just has to be the model, because once we show these messages, that's when we are going to save them in the chat history. Okay, so let's create another folder here. So this is going to be models. Okay, so under models, let's right click and then create a message model. So message dot dat. Okay, so let's create a message in class message. Now we need to create that message here. Okay, so already we have the AI is creating for us. Let's not go with that. Let's create our one here. Okay, so first we are going to need a string of let's have a message ID. Let's also have another string of so let's close that, and then we also need to save the chat ID. In that chat where we are chatting, we need to store that ID. And then let's so this, let's have an enum of a row. Okay, so down here let's create keyword enum, and then let's have a code row. Okay, so this one, it's not going to be that, so it's going to be user or assistant. Okay, assistant. Okay, let's remove that. So this is going to be either a user or an assistant. So this one is going to be a row of that enum, and then we are going to save it as a row. And then next we're going to have a string buffer. Okay, string buffer. So this is going to be the text. Okay, or let's just call it a message. Okay, and then after this we are going to have okay, why we are using a string buffer? First of all, because we want to stream the messages from Gemini model. Okay, so next let's have a list. This is going to be a list of images URL. Instead of media, let's say images URLs. And then next after this we're going to have a date time, which is also called time sent. Okay, time sent, like that. So right after we have these, let's create a constructor. This is going to be our constructor, and then after that let's create a toMap method. So let's have our assistant help us really quickly. So it's also good practice to create these as constants. Okay, so maybe let's do that really quickly, or okay, we can do that later. So these ones we may create constants as well. Okay, so let's also create the fromMap method. Our assistant is going to do that really quickly, and then after we create these, we are going to down here, let's create the copy with method. Okay, the copy with method. So let's just let the AI do it. So this is just a method we are going to use if we are reusing this model. Okay, so right after this copy with method, we also need to create the comparator. We need to be able to compare the messages. Okay, So for that, let's come down here and then let's create an override. Which is going to be like that at override. So here, okay, what's this now? It's going to be override. We're going to have an override like that, and then here we're going to have a bool operator. It's going to be like that. Okay, so here we are only going to compare the message ID, which is going to be to make each message unique. Okay, we don't need to check all of these. Okay, so what we are going to do is other is message and other.message ID. Only that's what we're going to compare. So we can remove all of these. Okay, we just want to compare the message ID. Okay, because we know that each message is going to have the unique message ID. Then right after this, now we can also have another override just to complete that, and then we get hascode and then message ID dot hascode, and then that's it. So this is going to be our message model. What's wrong with that? We can remove that, and then we can close that. Great. Now here, first of all, in our chat provider, let's have a list of messages. Okay, list of messages. So let's create a list of message. So this is going to be an empty list, so let's import that. So this one, let's call it as a in chat messages. Okay, because they're going to be messages that's going to come from the database. Okay, so these ones are going to be the messages that are currently in the chat. Okay, now we also, this page controller, the one that is we are using to control this, we also need to call it from the provider, because at some point when we click on the chat history, we need to navigate to the charts with the rest of the chat. So to communicate to the page controller, we need to have it in the provider. Okay, so let's also have the page controller. Okay, so let's have a page controller, which is going to be like that. And then after that, let's have a list of images URLs. Okay, so images list. So this is going to be images file list. Okay, file list. And then this is going to be a list which comes from X file. This comes from our package. Okay, X file, which will be nullable, and then we're going to name them as images file, let's say images file list. Okay, which is going to be empty. Now let's import this. So here we need to import our not all of these, we need to import our package, which is the image picker. So this X file, let's just import up here. Import not the provider, it has to be image picker. Okay, so first, okay, of course we need to say package, and then instead of that we need to say image picker. Let's copy that and paste it there. All right, so we have our image picker package, and then also we need to import the .io. Okay, did we put this correct? So this needs to be like that. Okay, okay, now we have a X file using the image picker. Okay, Now we have the list of images, and then also this index that we have, we also need to copy this current index. Let's get it from the provider. Okay, so here let's get the index of the current screen. Is going to be like that. And then what else? So we need to initialize everything here. So let's initialize the current chat ID. Okay, so here let's say current chat ID. So this is going to be, yeah, like that, a string of current chat ID. It's going to be empty. We're going to be updating this as we continue to chat. And then next, let's initialize the model. Okay, so here let's say initialize generative is going to be generative model. So let's get the generative model, which comes from our package. Let's import. Okay, so let's remove first of all of this. This is going to be nullable. And then here, let's remove all of this, and then let's just name it as model. And then we need to import our package. Okay, so let's also import. So this is going to be package dot it says Google. It's what? Google generative AI. Like that. We can just copy it from this side and then paste it here. All right, so we have imported our model, which is this one. And then next here, so we know that we are going to have two models. Okay, a text model and image model. All right, so let's also initialize both of those. Okay, because depending on the model that we are going to pick, so let's remove this. It just has to be model. Depending on the model that we are going to pick here, we're going to set it to this model. Okay, so here initialize text model. Okay, so we're going to, yeah, like that. And then let's also get the initialize image, visual model. Okay, visual model, which is going to be like that. Okay, and then the next thing now is to get the current model. Okay, so here let's do current let's say current model. So let's have a string like that. Okay, so this current model, let's instead of saying current model, let's say model type. And then here we know that the text model is called Gemini, Gemini dash Pro. Okay, this is the text module. And then the vision module is something like Gemini Pro dash, I think, vision, like that. Okay, so we want the current model. If you haven't changed any model here, it's going to be the text model. Okay, let's go back to the documentation here. It's minimize, and then let's get Google generative AI. Let's search for it. If we get in here, you can see that this is a text model. Okay, for the vision model, it's called the vision Pro. Okay, so let's go back. So the current model, the model tab, the one which is currently at, if you haven't changed anything, is always going to be the text model. Okay, great. So let's continue. Let's put the loading boolean, loading loading bool. So here we are just going to initialize it to false, and then now that we have created all this, we also need to create getters. Okay, so down here let's say getters. Okay, so let's just let AI get it for us quickly. So this is getting the in chart, and then next we are going to get the page controller. Next we are going to get the images file list. Next current index. Next current chart ID. So okay, we have gotten all these getters. Now it wants us to set the setters. I don't think we have gotten everything, so let's get the generative model, let's get the text model, let's get the vision model, let's get the model type, let's get the is loading. Okay, now that we have gotten all of these, we can go ahead and now start getting the putting the setters. So now before we go ahead and start putting the setters, let's make the UI for the chat screen so that we can go ahead and send the messages, because once we send the message, that's what's going to be setting most of this data. Okay, so let's end this video right here, and then in the next one now we can start creating the UI for the chat screen. Thank you guys, and see you in the next video.